Hey folks, welcome back to the channel, and if you're new here, then a very warm welcome. So we are going to do a very deep dive into this fantastic UAP story which happened at Copenhagen airport. This is very easy to kind of miss if you're not really paying attention to it, but something really profound happened here. For hours, keeping the airport closed all night, very large reported drones, but UAP, because we don't know what they were seen flying over the runways and the other aircraft and had the place in total chaos. And presumably the normal drone countermeasures, which all major airports have, didn't work. So first I'm going to go over a timeline of the events itself so that you can understand in as much detail as anybody else what happened. Then I'm going to show you some related footage from a live stream in Norway, which also captured a UAP at the same time. And then I've got some software which allows me to really analyze and clean up video footage, which is something that we're going to be doing a lot more of in the future. And I can slow that thing down and go through it frame by frame with up to a 400 times zoom. And I will tell you now, it's really interesting. There was at least 2 craft caught in the little snapshot footage that you've already seen, and you're going to see it clearer than anybody else has. So let's start with the timeline. So September 22nd, 8:30 p.m, Copenhagen airport. Reported major police presence in and outside the airport as all arriving and departing flights were halted due to a number of unidentified large drones being spotted in and around the airspace around Copenhagen airport. Reuters immediately said it was Russians and then retracted that. Helicopters were immediately scrambled over the airport. At 10:40 p.m, so 2 hours 10 minutes, the same drones, which is important, were still flying around with total impunity. The Danish police said they're very, very big. They're not hobby drones. The drones are very clear. They keep switching on floodlights because there was apparently beams of light coming down from them. A little later in the evening, drones were also seen over Stockholm. And a new statement from the airport is that there are still unidentified drones over it, and as a result, still no flights can take off or land. This caused total chaos. Sweden then put its Saab 340 reconnaissance plane, which is their version of an AWACS that we would know. It's a multispectral, very, very powerful radar plane. Now, unfortunately, we don't know what that saw or didn't see. But it shows the gravity of the situation. Fighter jets were then scrambled and sent to the airport. Later, the drones were again seen using searchlights. Drones were later also seen at Oslo airport, and earlier in the evening at a military base in the middle of Oslo, where 2 people from Shanghai were arrested. And then in the morning, the airport's reopened, so presumably the drones were gone. So, quite a lot happened. What can we learn from that already is that these things had a very, very unusual linger time. Most military drones have a linger time of between 4 and 6 hours. And if this started at 8:30 p.m. and kept the place closed all night, that kind of rules out anything beyond cutting-edge military technology. So, this was captured on a live stream from Norway and shows a ball of light. So first of all, let's just have a quick look at that. I'm not going to get too far into it because I don't know how related it is. Pretty interesting. So now let's have a look at the footage itself, which you've probably already seen. In fact, I opened the video with it. But now we're going to dive right in. I've done a lot of digital denoising and zoomed in, and we'll look at it frame by frame to see what happened. Okie dokie. So Just to explain what we're working with here, this is a program which is primarily for clearing up old black and white movies and footage shot at night and stuff like that. I am not using any increase in resolution or any added frames or any coloring outside of the lines. This is purely to get rid of digital noise and pixelation and stuff like that. So the original footage is on the left, the cleaned up footage is on the right. If you look at things like the bloom around these lights at the bottom, you'll really see what we're doing, plus all this kind of mess in the mist. So I'll play it through first at full speed. And you can see just how dirty and gungy the original footage is. And then when we're done, so here comes the second part of it with what appears to be a craft swooping overhead. Seems to be going very slowly. Okay, so you can see the amount of noise on the right is far less. Now, we'll get rid of that and just go to a single view. Now we're going to zoom in and have a good look. So, this first bit of a craft, honestly, there's not too much to learn from it, other than the fact that it appears to be flashing. It's difficult to see how far away it is, but there's a flash. There's another smaller flash, but a different colour. And then it flashes again there. As we move behind that winglet. But there's really not much to write home about this one. But we have got the ability to zoom right in. And go frame by frame. I just don't think there's too much we can learn from this. Now, this is the second piece of the footage. So what I'll do, just for your orientation, I'll play it at full speed, zoomed in. Now, I want you to pay attention down this section here, because I believe that there is a smaller craft underneath, potentially either moving from right to left or shadowing the craft itself and just kind of hanging around like this. Don't forget the airspace was totally closed, so there's nothing plane or helicopter in the air at that time. So this thing appears to have some sort of wings on the side of it and a red light towards the front and this constant green light at the back. Let's just have another look. It's the full footage again. There's that little thing down there. You'll see how it moves. It gets gradually further under the wing as it passes over our heads. Very strange. So let's have a look zoomed in. And we'll go frame by frame and see what we can see. So there's a few flashes on the ground, as you'd imagine, at a runway. There is one point where I think we get some lens flare, which appears above it. But when it flashes, obviously this isn't FAA because it would be green on one wingtip and red on the other, and this appears to be a green light which is constantly on and then a flashing red light in front of it, perhaps pointing towards the front of the craft. This is the direction of travel. And these appear to be some form of wings. So let's keep going. Not at any point can you resolve the full shape of it. Just like the New Jersey drones, it's extremely similar. It had a linger time of about 7 hours. Nothing that they could do could prevent it from happening. So yeah, we're catching a bit of a reflection down the wing there, potentially. Now there's that little thing underneath it. So have a look at this. If I just rock this backwards and forwards, it's gone, it's dipping, it's moving in a different direction to the main craft, I'm going to call it. So it's not attached. Now it comes about as overhead as it gets. It appears to have some sort of blue light maybe on the top because it keeps catching the steam with this blue here. This is yeah, I think that is just lens flare as it changes its angle to the camera. This is as it gets further ahead. But look at it. I mean, what the hell is that? Let's zoom out a little more. Obviously there's some scintillation from the water vapor. See, are we illuminating a wing? It's very hard to tell, but you can tell it's a big object. And then we come to the end. So what are your thoughts? I haven't got a clue. If we come back to here, I'll play it out. There's this little thing underneath dancing around. Seems a regular flash, but it's not an FA8 flash. So who knows? So there you go. Pretty fascinating stuff. There is just as much evidence as these things being from Moscow as from Mars. And so I find that really interesting. And in the nature of due diligence and good science, it's worthy of investigation, just like any other factor of the UAP field. So what do you think? If you've got any more data or any theories, let me know in the comments. If you thought this was worth a coffee, which I would really appreciate, then there's a link down below to buy me one and support the channel directly. And I will see you very soon for a very cool documentary in the near future. Thanks for being here.